From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson. We certainly hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We hope that you were able to have a lot of turkey and a lot of mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce. Now it's time to talk turkey. Now, I think Hector's supposed to be calling in any moment now, so we're gonna see if he can get back to us in just a moment. So in the meantime, we're here to talk turkey, no pun intended, about the world of sports. Anyway. You probably saw the traditional Thanksgiving Day games, and boy, were they a couple of duds. Folks, there's a reason why people do not want the Detroit Lions to play on Thanksgiving anymore. It's because they're terrible. And once again, they were awful, this time losing to a Houston Texans team that's almost along the same lines as them team-wise. And Deshaun Watson wound up having a really good game. So let's see if the Texans can have themselves a real streak to end the season. Speaking of the Lions, not only did they fire Matt Patricia, their head coach, they also fired the general manager. So now they have to start from scratch for the umpteenth time. And what the future holds for that franchise, only God knows, to be quite honest with you, because it seems like every time they start over again, they run into the same old, which is they can't seem to buy a win at the most opportune time. Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to go ahead and scrap the Lions off the Thanksgiving Day schedule, because it's gotten to the point where they're very unwatchable. They've been unwatchable for years, and there's a reason why they've gone 63 years without their last championship. Now, as far as the other game, Washington and Dallas, another dud, well, let's face facts, folks. The entire NFC East is dreadful. Washington and Dallas are both dreadful. This was basically a game for pride. This was not about the NFC East division lead, folks. This was strictly a game for pride. Whoever wins that division at the last game of the season, expect them to be a very quick out, because that entire division is woeful. As far as the game itself, is that you, Hector?
Yes.
Okay, you called right at the most opportune time. I was talking a little football. I was right into my discussion about Washington and Dallas. But did you see any of the games? And if so, what'd you think of them?
You didn't ask me how my Thanksgiving was.
Well, you weren't on.
Well, that's because the great telephone operator, I was on one line, and then I have to call your line.
Okay, that's fine. So how was your Thanksgiving?
So, I had women over, and I had turkey over, and I enjoyed the breast a lot.
Seriously, you really got to stop with this.
So, well, serious what? Anyway. Yes.
With these lies. With the constant lies that you're telling.
There's no lies.
Oh, there are lies.
No lies. No lies.
There's nothing but lies.
Just jealousy on your part.
I keep telling you, I ain't jealous of you. Why do you always insist that there's all these women coming after you when there's not?
Always saying that I'm lying.
Cause you are lying.
You need a video.
Ain't no woman like you.
If I show you a video, then that means you're into that porno stuff, and I'm not going to show you that type of stuff. I'm not going to show you my private life. You got your own problem.
First of all, you don't have a private life because you're always bragging and boasting about all these women that you got.
That's right. That's right.
When you ain't got none.
Do I? You're the one that always wants to ruin everything.
No, you're the one that wants to ruin everything because with your lies.
You're the ones to want to ruin everything by telling the public these lies.
The only thing that's lies right now is you talking about all these women that you got when you ain't got any.
How much I drink, right? You love to tell them how much I drink, but you don't like to tell them the other truth, do you? So there. So if you tell one,
there is no truth to these
you
talks.
You wanted to talk about football, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, fine. The Dallas Cowboy game and the Washington Redskins game, that was a piece of work.
Yeah, it was.
That's all I can say, especially the way that defender from Washington just snatched the ball out of that damn quarterback out of nowhere and just ran to the touchdown almost.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I'm telling you. And I love the fact that the Giants made what? They're in the playoffs.
As of now.
As of now, the Giants are in the playoffs. Hey, I don't care if you're 3-7 and you get knocked out the first week. At least you can say you made the playoffs.
Yeah, but you have to look at the schedule for the last 5 weeks, Hector. It does not look good.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? The way things have been going on lately, for instance, I mean, think about that team that had 16 playing with coronaviruses. I mean, at any given time, people can get coronavirus. Now, I just don't understand how people are not protective of themselves because they like to either use the great mask as a chin protector or as okay, I'm not going to put it over everything. I'm just going to put it on my mouth, but not over my nose. You know, that people think it's their God-given right for not being able to wear it. Okay, fine. You know, but how do I understand how that happens, and the other part I don't like is that if you did it somewhat deliberately, and I mean by going out and then knowing full well that you should be inside because you have a game, but you decide to go outside and party or whatever you did to catch the virus and then give it to the other players, or whatever happened, then don't, find the team. Find the team, tell them to cough up their check to the other team that had no viruses. Right. Why penalize the other team? I don't get that, but hey, like one person said on ESPN, I don't know how the Football Players Association allowed that. But, I know there's going to be some tough teams coming up for the Giants, but you never know. Well, somebody can get hurt. On paper, they're lost. They've lost. But you never know what can happen. Being on, thinking that you can make the playoffs at any given time, that can give them certain incentives. Go ahead, but what do you think in all that?
Well, just to give you an idea of what the future holds for the Giants, they have to play the Seahawks on Sunday. And the Seahawks, of course, have one of the best quarterbacks in the game, Russell Wilson, and a defense that seems to be improving with each victory. And then after that, there's Arizona, which has a good young quarterback, Kyler Murray. Then Cleveland, which is looking for a playoff push of their own. Then Baltimore. And then they end the season with the Cowboys. So at the least, they could probably go 1-4 and finish the season 5-11. Think what would happen if they were 5-11 and they actually clinched a division title.
Again, if they were able to clinch it, as I said to you before, as long as they make the playoffs, I know the objective is to improve each year or to win, the bowl or, the crown or whatever you want to call it, whatever they use, or the cup. But in all fairness, as long as you make the playoffs, at least you can say, I've made the playoffs. Now, this is the same discussion we've had with the New York Knicks. And that is, as long as they make the playoffs, yes, the ultimate goal is to make it to the championship. But
not just make the championship, win the whole thing.
But if the team is that lousy, if the team is lousy, but they make the playoffs, that's at least you can say, as bad as they were, they made the playoffs. And that's the way I'm looking at it. You're looking at it as, first you'll say they got to make the playoffs, Then when they do make the playoffs, they got to go past the first round. Once they go past the first round, then you'll say, but they got to go past the second. I understand that point. But if you got a team that's not supposed to make it to the playoffs, and they make the playoffs, give them their just due. They made the playoffs because that team was not supposed to make the playoffs. That's what I try to sink into that thick skull of yours. You don't listen.
You put the Knicks and the word playoffs in the same sentence, assuming that they're actually going to make it. They're not making it this year.
I don't say that. And, I can say it as much as I want because you know what? That division is so weak to begin with. It's not the strongest division in the league.
I totally disagree. The Atlantic Division is one of the strongest divisions in the entire league. You got 4 teams there that could probably contend for a title.
The Western Division is the strongest league, James. The Western Division will always be the strongest league. Now, there will be certain teams in the Eastern Division, as we talked about before. Yes, there's about, 8 teams? 4-4 in each division.
Are you talking about the Western Conference?
The Eastern Division and the Western Division in basketball.
You mean the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference?
Yes.
Well, then that goes without saying.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. The Western Conference, that's one of the strongest. Now, the Eastern Conference, right? There's about 4 apiece or 12, 6 and 6 in each division, or 4 and 6. It's still, you still have to have 10 teams in there. You still got up to eight teams. You still got 9 and 10. 9 and 10 is always a flip. 9 and 10 is always a toss-up. So at any given time, 9 and 10, you never know who's going to make 9 and 10. But we were talking about the Giants, and it's the same thing. A 500 club, not a less than 500 club, it'll probably, the Giants make the playoffs. But then you got the other ones in the same division with the same lousy record. So, it could be like you said before, 5 and 7 or 5 and 11 record, or 7. That's disgusting.
For the Giants' sake, they better hope they could be 5 and 7 if they beat Seattle next weekend.
But like I said, as long as they make the playoffs, that's all that matters because they get bonuses and so forth just to make the playoffs. Some of them do. That's all. But at least you had the same. On Thanksgiving, you had the same teams playing, except for that one team that was supposed to play but didn't play. And all in all, I mean, you've had some depending upon which team you're rooting for, you have some decent games. They weren't all horrible. I mean, you've seen them more than I have. I mean, you tell me, which teams were they blockbusters and all that other stuff? You tell me.
From this weekend?
Yes, from this weekend alone.
Well, from what I understand, I think there were maybe 3 games that went down to the final minute. One of them being Rams and 49ers, and it was the 49ers that won the game of the field goal at the last minute. Let's see, there was also Kansas City versus Tampa was pretty decent. They went down, it took a third down catch to clinch the game. And also Patriots Cardinals. Another field goal wound up winning the game for the Patriots.
Do you think Mahomes will make it? Will make it to at least or win the championship again this time around? Or
he's got a really strong chance of winning a second straight title. He's the best quarterback in the game right now.
Well, that's a good thing. Now, I wish we can say that about our own Jets.
Oh, forget about it.
Best basketball, the best football quarterback in the league. That's not going to happen in a very long time.
Oh, forget about it. Sam Darnold has gotten progressively worse with each start.
Now, they could have had, but I'm glad they didn't take a quarterback this year because they wouldn't have had that other kid. That I think he's a lineman? No.
Yeah, Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, they wouldn't have got him if they would have gotten a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Because which quarterback last year, did they succeed, the quarterbacks from last year? Did they make it this year? The quarterbacks that were drafted high last year, did they make it this year? Were they like Rick Mahomes when they first came up and so on?
Well, Kyler Murray had a decent, wasn't great, but a decent rookie season for the Cardinals last year, and now this year he's gotten much better as a player. He's gotten them to more wins this year than they did all of last year. Last year they won 5 games. This year they have 6 wins, and they still have another 5 games to play with. And believe it or not, there's a fighting chance they make the playoffs.
With a record of what?
Right now they're 6-5.
That's not bad. They can break even.
Probably.
8-8. A couple of years ago, I've seen that happen too. Now remember, there were times where if you made it 8-8, you thought you could make the playoffs sometimes, and you never did.
Mm-hmm.
Now in certain positions, now you're able to make the playoffs in 8-8.
And they added a 7th team to each conference, so now only the number 1 seed has a first round bye, which means the number 2 seed has to play the number 7 seed, and then 3 has to play 6, and then 4 has to play 5. So now they have 14 teams making the playoffs now.
As long as there's some type of balance. But, it's all about the money. We all know that.
Obviously.
But, I'm looking forward to the Rocks League, the USFL.
You mean the XFL?
Yeah, the XFL. Looking forward to that. I want to see if what he does to it, what type of spin he puts into it. Because the first time it came out, it was pretty good. JR could actually announce, and they actually did certain things, certain rules that were good and certain rules that were bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they tried to intrigue, put wrestling and football together And that was okay sometimes. I mean, I'm sure the wrestlers got a good kick out of it because some of them are football players themselves, whether high school or college, you know.
Right.
But, you know, who's going to be the Cinderella team this year that you think is going to make the playoffs and probably try to go all the way?
At this rate, it might be Arizona. The only problem is they don't have enough of a running game or a defensive presence that could probably get them past the first round.
And what's going on with Dallas? Because, you know, that's America's team.
Oh, forget it. Dallas is awful.
Even with Prescott. Now, with Prescott in.
That's the thing. Prescott's gone for the year because he hurt his ankle.
Now, were they better with him there?
Oh, they were a much better team with Prescott in as the quarterback.
Now, do you think he's going to get that big paycheck? Is he that good of a quarterback that you should give him that boatload of money to stay? Or if you give him that big paycheck, then you're going to have to let go of some of the other players that make him look good as well.
I think he's a good enough quarterback where the Cowboys can make a more than fair offer to have him stay for the rest of his career.
Because there are other quarterbacks there that are, you know, there are other players there that they're going to need too. And they're going to have to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough to pay him and the other people without going over the luxury tax that they have.
Right.
That's another thing. As they like to say, the capologist.
True.
But what was your favorite game?
Obviously, my favorite game was that Giants versus Cincinnati game because the Giants won.
Yeah, anytime the Giants or Jets win, that is your favorite game. But I'm saying because you see a lot of more games than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So between Sunday and Thanksgiving, what was the most exciting game for you?
The most exciting game was probably that Patriot game against the Cardinals. It was decided on a field goal at the last minute.
You know, and to think around the corner is basketball coming up.
The NBA, that is.
Yeah, the NBA's coming up.
And college season already started.
Yeah, and college football has started too, right?
Yeah, college football started as of September.
And the college basketball may be coming back.
It's already here. They're already playing games.
Yeah.
Although they did cancel a whole bunch of games this past weekend.
Yeah. And those poor colleges that got hurt because they didn't get their revenue in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel sorry for those big colleges. I really don't. Because, you know, they already make so much money off these kids.
Yeah.
That it's ridiculous. And they get, I mean, you can say, yeah, they're getting their education, but if they break a leg or if they break an ankle or something of that nature, that big money that the colleges get, nothing. I mean, I'm glad that kid won them for that likeness. If they had give a video.
Yeah.
God, I'm glad they do. They should take a cut of the merch. They should. But they're the ones breaking the backs for the league. Now, the people would say, oh, well, that's not fair. You know, they're getting an education in a good school. But, you know, these are the kids that are they're multitasking.
Mm-hmm.
They're multitasking, you know. But, you know, when March Madness, if it does come this year, you know, these are the kids that are going, okay, we're multitasking. They have to study at odd hours, even though they make them a little better, but hey, who knows what's going behind? Because you know how some of them are. Some of them are just going by the skin of their teeth or just getting home ec. So
Yeah, this is true.
But I'm looking forward to seeing the Brooklyn Nets because they picked up a guard, I think.
Yes, they did.
And I'm telling you, the Nets are going to look. They're going to look very strong if Kyrie Irving and KD come back very strong, and they'll still have a bench. So yeah, they're going to come out pretty good. What do you think?
Well, it's no secret that the Nets are the better team in the five boroughs right now. Now, everything hinges upon whether Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving come back 100% healthy. If they're 100% healthy, they could be a 50 to 55 win team.
Well, I think it's more Kevin Durant than Kyrie Irving. It's more Kevin Durant than Kyrie Irving. I mean, because remember, they got Spencer Dinwiddie and all them other people that can come off and play just as good.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have Kevin Durant. But when you don't have Kevin Durant, remember, you paid what? For 3 years to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
And first year, he didn't play.
Yeah.
You just paid him to get rehab. Okay, fine. Let's see how he comes out. But, you know, because in that division you have Boston, although they lost a lot of people, but that team was always stacked anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That team was always stacked. I mean, Philly is going to look really good this year.
Philly looks really, really strong. Not only do they have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, but they also wound up making a big trade with Houston, getting Robert Covington.
Yeah. So they're going to be a strong team just for that. Just that division alone. That section alone. I mean, Nets, Brooklyn Nets. What? You have 5 teams that division.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, and then Indiana and Knicks and Timberwolves and all them other people. Yeah, I mean, the Hawks, they're going all in. The Hawks are going all in.
Yeah, and let me correct myself. Robert Covington actually went to Portland, although the Sixers did get a really good shooter, Seth Curry. Plus, they got Dwight Howard, who's going to be playing on the front line with Joel Embiid. So things have gotten significantly better for the Sixers. As
Doc Rivers as coach.
What's that?
With Doc Rivers as coach.
And they have Doc Rivers as the coach, which is probably the biggest addition that they have right now.
And Sam Cassell, I think, as assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I can see them doing something. I mean, Zion Williams, you know, that's a teenager's dream right there. That team should do well, and hopefully, you know. But Atlanta is just going all in.
Yeah, they are going all in. They just signed Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Kings, and they also made a deal getting Clint Capella to provide some defense on the front line. And there's also Danilo Gallinari, who can provide not only a stretch four, but also give them a little bit of height.
You mean the former Nick who was a forward, but they put him in as a center?
Exactly. That's how he developed all of those back problems.
Exactly. The man's a forward. Why do they keep putting this man as a center? He's not a center. He's a bloody forward. He really is a forward. And they always put him as a center ever since. And secondly, he's a Knick. How come some of these people, they blossom into manhood? They go in there as kids with the Knicks, and they blossom and become men in some other teams. And then people want him again. You know, the Knicks almost were trying to get Gallinari again.
Yeah, I know. And then he made the smart move. Well, it wasn't really his choice, but he wound up making a move to the Dirty South.
He was a free agent, though, right?
He might have been. I'm not sure.
Because if he was a free agent, yeah, he signed on his own. That's the best move. Because, you know, the Knicks are, like that article I sent you, the Knicks are doing things slowly, and it's depending upon who they pick coming up right now, whether it's next year or the year after. It all depends who they pick. And hopefully they'll pick a good guy. Hopefully they'll pick another Patrick Ewing. That'll finally get him over the hump. But
well, they do say that the class coming up might be the best class, and the biggest ticket free agent that's going to be making his presence felt is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
yeah, you don't know if he's going to stay with the team or not. Because remember, it's whoever has the salary cap.
Yeah.
The whole had the salary cap, they just blew it. Well, they didn't blow it because they used it to their advantage. But the Knicks, because remember, all those guys are signed for 1 year. Even Rivers is signed for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them option years. So, yeah, if you want to come to New York Knicks, that'll be fine. Now that kid with bad wheel. Yeah, him.
You mean Obi Toppin?
No, the kid with the bad left ankle. He's on another team. Victor, you just mentioned his name. Now, do you think they'll get him by a trade with the Knicks?
Are you talking about Victor Oladipo?
Yeah.
That might be the only way, but who do the Knicks have that they can give up?
The Knicks have players that have 1 year contracts. If they're trying to go into the salary cap, that team, the Knicks have these 1 year deals. They also have some draft choices, and they do have some 1 or 2 players that they can give up as well. It all depends what they want. Remember, it's all about salary cap as well. So, and also, you don't know how he's going to play this year. Now, me personally, I would have tried to get him now and then hope for the best and expect the worst. Because if he plays fantastic for you, it's for you. Because they said that they're in a wait-and-see game. If he comes off and starts coming off fantastic, then that team's going to want a boatload of draft picks and people and other things if they want to trade him. If you get him now, you're not going to get so much for him. But again, he only has this year left, and then that's it. He's on his walk year.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have to be probably on a sign and trade. But you don't know what you have. You don't know what you have. And again, I still haven't seen that article about this Obi Toppin, the forward that they got, that he's got bad legs, bad wheels. And see, he may be slow, he may be slow-footed, but bad wheels. Bad wheels means that he's got hurt, man.
No, they only say that he has bad wheels because he's slow defensively. And they also say that he has a stiff hip.
No, I haven't heard that. I mean, he may not be the greatest defensive player in the game, but, he's still young and he's willing to learn. Hope for the best. But if you had that kid coming there, Victor, on that team, then you can get rid of the majority of the guards that the Knicks has. Because for God's sake, the Knicks are stacked up guard this year and forward.
Well, you need a 15-man roster.
Yeah, but do you know how many guards the Knicks have? Think about it. They got that 33-year-old never coming to the USA. And then you got, they signed a guy from the Hornets. They got Frank Dennis, they got Emilia Quigley, they have Ephraim Payton. They have 2 or 3 other guards as well. I mean, and you got A.J. Barrett now. Since one is a shooting guard and the other one is I forgot what it's called. I mean, come on. To me, a guard is a guard no matter what. But
don't forget, some of these guys go back and forth between guard and forward.
Yeah, you do have one guy on the Knicks that's a guard and a forward too, but that's only if you're playing a 3-man guard rotation too, if you want to keep it small. But I'm telling you, it's I just hope that their plan works. Whatever, I know what their plan is. I just hope it works. At the end, it's there because, like you said, and the only way they're going to land an all-star player is if they get him by a trade. An all-star player doesn't want to play here. Now, the only thing that I can see is that when team starts rebuilding, and it starts to a point when they actually start winning games. If they see, players always see what direction that team. If they only need 1 or 2 players to get it over that hump to get into the playoffs and to make them into the championship, some players will come to that team. Hope for the best,
Mm-hmm.
It happens in every team, or they pay, because how many times have the Knicks tried to win a championship? They've tried so many times, but they never succeeded. So now, except when it came to Oakley and some other guys, and the last time they made the championship in 2013, playoffs, at least they made that much. But, there are so many other teams improved. Now, what was the team that didn't improve?
What team didn't improve?
Yes. What team did not improve?
Charlotte. The Charlotte Hornets.
What makes them so bad?
Because for one, they wound up signing a guy who was more suited to be a number 2 scoring option instead of a number 1 scoring option. And that's Gordon Hayward, a guy that the Knicks were interested in. And for another, they did nothing to improve their backcourt. They don't have a defensive stopper.
I was reading that Detroit did a horrible job. The Pistons?
Yeah.
Did a horrible job. They overpaid for people that they shouldn't have paid for.
Well, let's count the ways. Jeremy Grant. They also made a deal for the ex-Net, Zanan Musa. Isaiah Stewart also, and DeLon Wright. But probably the worst pickup they could have made was maybe Jeremy Grant, who was given a chunk of money that, quite frankly, is not even worthy of that he's not even worthy of, to be honest with you. Not only that, but they're also paying off Blake Griffin's contract, and he might not be a free agent until either next year or the year after.
I mean, I'm surprised you haven't tried to get trade for him yet. You know, because he's still in decent shape. You know, all he's got to do is, like every other player, go to a contender. If they can, but it all depends what you're asking for him and what's his salary as well. If you know, because he's still a good player, that he can get you over that hump. Depending upon who else you have on that team, you know, he could be a third player that can get you over that hump. So, but no, the whatchamacallit, the Russell Westbrook.
He's still in Houston.
Yeah, and so is the Beard.
Yep, James Harden. They each. This only proves one thing. Just because you want to you demand a trade doesn't mean you're going to get it. The Houston Rockets are paying both of these guys. They don't have to make any deal for either one of them.
You're absolutely right, but they don't have to play either. They can just sit out. They may not get paid, but they can just sit out also. Because think of it. I already told you the reason why James Harden doesn't want to play for that GM. I mean, the owner of that team.
Yeah, because the owner's a Trump guy.
Right, he's a trumpeter. Okay, fine. So, all these years, and now, you know about this man. Okay. Yep. Now, the other thing is, are they probably doing feelers out there saying, okay, let's see what happens, and let's see how much we can get for him. And remember, he only wants to play for the Nets. Now, they don't have to grant him that wish.
They don't have to do anything with him.
Grant him anything.
Yeah.
But you know, he has been a long time. He has been a long time Rocket, and he's done a lot for them. So, if the GM wants to be fair to him, and the organization wants to be fair to him, yeah, they can go, you know what, you've been a loyal player until now, so we'll try to grant you your wish and be done with it. Because he doesn't have an out contract. He doesn't have an out like some of these players do.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll have a list on certain teams that they'll want to go to. You can't trade me unless you trade me to one of these teams. Other than that, if it's a team that's not on my list, it's got to be approved by me. And if I don't want it, you can't trade me. That's the way it goes sometimes. You know, these contracts are not normal anymore. These players have a lot more potency than before. Before, is whatever the coach and the GM wanted was law. Now it's no. Now it's, I have my worth. You got to pay me my worth, and you got to listen to me more. I mean, look at LeBron. Think of it. Look at LeBron James. He can get coaches fired. He can do a lot of things. You think that would be the other way around. And it's whatever LeBron says, or it seems that way. Let's put it that way. It seems that whatever he says, if I don't want this person, and I want that person, or I want that guy, you have to get me that guy. That's how I'll improve. They do it for him. You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. It's embarrassing sometimes how they let one guy even though he is the best player in the game in this era, get away with so much. You shouldn't. Nobody should have that much power, but some players want it. Some people are glad that they have that much power. But what do you think in all this? You tell me.
To be honest with you, there are certain guys who do command a lot of power, and quite frankly, they've earned that much power because of all that they've done for the game and all that they've done for the organization. It's like they become a de facto GM, so to speak.
Yeah, but should they fire a coach?
Should they fire a coach?
Yeah, if I'm the, let's say, the GM, and I like that coach because I think that's what's getting you there. The best player is saying, I don't like that coach because he said something to me. But all the other players like that coach. What do? Go with your best player and go, oh, well, you know what? My best player said, you got to go, coach. That don't make any sense. I mean, I understand it to some degree, but it doesn't make any sense. Think about it. You're my best player, and because you don't want to play for that coach, that means you're not going to earn your salary? You're not going to play your hardest? Then that means that your reputation is going to be mud.
It's a real catch-22 there.
But either way, it's true. Hey, when's hockey start?
Hockey, I think, begins in January.
So basketball starting in December
22nd, to be exact.
December 11th, they start practice.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. How are they going to do this? With coronavirus. Now, I can't believe that there are some people out there in this world who don't believe that the coronavirus exists.
That's their problem.
No, it's not their problem. It's all of our problems because once they start, remember something. We got to walk around these people that think that doesn't exist. Those are the people that are passing it on to us. That are trying to be very precautious. But I wonder how they're going to do it. I mean, they can't put them in a big bubble. They're not going to do that for all the teams.
Mm-hmm. So
I wonder how they're going to handle the coronavirus situation and the teams. That's going to be a tough sell. I mean, I don't think they're going to have an audience. Well, they're not going to be people are they going to be people in the stairs and all that? Are they going to sell tickets or?
I'm not sure. I would think that a lot of these arenas would be going empty while hosting these games.
Well, the college games are going empty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So figure them going empty too. I mean, the football games are going empty too, right?
Mm-hmm. The majority of the stadiums in the NFL are definitely going empty, hosting these games. But then you have places like Green Bay and Tampa, Dallas also that are going with letting in a couple thousand people.
They're allowing at least 25% at a certain amount of space.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't fill that up. But I'm telling you, sports will never be the same. The Summer Olympics is going to be this year as well.
Yeah, 2021. July 2021.
Yeah. So the basketball team's got to go there as well. That's how come this.
Yeah, this is true. For the record, the Summer Olympics are going to be held in Japan.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun because they aren't. I wonder how they're going to do that, considering even though they're I don't know how this coronavirus situation, because the United States have handled the coronavirus the worst way possible.
Right.
You know, except for the Democratic states, but some people would disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But just look it up. Not everything is fake news. But I'm telling you, we're living in some dangerous times. We got to figure how they're going to handle sports. I mean, do you think that they'll trade Guillermo Stanton? They want him to be the just a DH player.
You mean Giancarlo Stanton?
Yeah, him. I don't know why I always get that boy's name mixed up. But him, they want him to be the regular DH. But do you think they'll get rid of Sanchez?
I don't think so, because I still think that he's a serviceable player where he could be maybe given some lessons on how to catch. That way, he might be able to probably could contend for a starting job again.
He's a young guy. It's just his injuries that have killed him.
And his poor defense, too.
And that it killed his batting average and so on. That's all. I mean, think about it. I mean, we always knew his defense wasn't all that hot. But he did improve.
Mm-hmm.
He did improve. I mean, he's not going to be no Johnny Bench or anything of that nature.
Right.
But he did improve. He has improved. Now, what are the chances? Have you heard of anything that the Knicks are going after a free agent that they know they're going to get?
Wait, who are you talking about again?
Have you heard of any free agents that you know that the Yankees or Mets have on lockdown?
On lockdown, I know the Mets have shown a lot of interest in George Springer from the Astros, because the Mets need a center fielder, and they could be looking at this guy to be the everyday center fielder. The Mets, of course, also need a catcher, and they could be looking at JT Realmuto of the Phillies. So there's a strong possibility that they might be going after him. As for the Yankees, I would think they would go after a free agent pitcher. Maybe Corey Kluber of the Texas Rangers, or maybe the guy that last pitched for Cincinnati too. And I also heard that the Yankees might, it's not definite, but I would say might consider bringing back Didi Gregorius.
If you need a shortstop, I mean,
that's assuming that they don't get Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, because how did Didi do in Philly?
He did reasonably well. Let me check his numbers for you. All right. Oh. Unfortunately, the Phillies website doesn't give Didi's, here we are, statistics here. This past season, he was a .284 hitter. In 215 at-bats, he had 61 hits. Not bad. Overall, he played all 60 games. 284 average, 10 homers, 40 RBIs.
So that's not bad. That's about average.
Yeah. Which means if he were to play 120 games, it would be 20 homers and 80 RBIs, and maybe even 25 home runs and 90 RBIs. He's always been a productive shortstop and a really good defensive shortstop as well. So don't be surprised if we maybe see the Yankees probably bring him back.
But with all the other guys that the Yankees have, why, like you told me, if they have so many other players that can play that position, why would you need him?
Maybe they could move Gleyber Torres back to second base.
Yeah. And no word on LeMahieu. The LeMahieu,
Still nothing.
and Tanaka, Masahiro Tanaka, nothing yet.
Nope.
If he's not the Yankee, he's not going anywhere. He's probably going back to Japan. I'm telling you. If he signs with some other team, it'll be a miracle.
If he does go to Japan, wherever he does go, if he does not return to the Yankees, I think it would be a pretty big loss in that staff.
But if he goes, let's say, to the Mets or somewhere else,
Still be a big loss.
it is a big loss, but you would be very surprised because here's a man that wanted to retire last year, and they said, they gave him the incentive to stay, and then this blasted coronavirus. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
It really is tough, just for one and for all, for one and for all.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at. I'm just glad we still have sports, but I read or happened to hear, why is it that these sports figures have more testing than the frontliners?
It's a good question.
And what does it come down to? Money.
Mm-hmm.
They have money. They have money that the nurses and them don't. I mean, it's sad because you have these bad nurses and bad doctors, and we're just clapping for them. And and people are using the word defunding the police as, oh, let's get rid of the cops. That's not what defunding means. But okay, if that's what you think it does mean, then fine. And people keep on saying socialism. Yeah, that's when we have Social Security for those people. If people don't want their Social Security, that's fine too.
All right, we got less than a minute to go.
But I'll let you go, Jamie. It was fun talking to you.
Thank you.
And we'll see what happens next.
All righty.
What's going to happen next? What do you think? Nate Robinson got knocked out. Tiebreak on the fight.
Yeah, and Mike Tyson wound up drawing with Roy Jones Jr.
Yep.
All right.
They may do it again.
Thanks again, Hector.
Thanks, Jamie. Hopefully we'll get the phone better.
All righty. Be well.
You too.
Thanks to Roman DeSimone on the other side of the glass. For everyone here, I'm Jamie. Good night, everyone.